good morning, and welcome to Bricolage with Pink Girly. Now I can relax. It's time to get started. My goodness, some of you are here early. We've got Brenda and Teresa, Gail, Melody. Good morning, ladies. Nice to see you all. I think perhaps I should take a moment and clean my spectacles. How is everyone doing this Sunday morning? I hope you're all doing well. Hubby's got a little bit of a scratchy throat, so I have a little bit of a sore throat this morning myself. Been sneezing just a little bit, but he doesn't feel too bad. I think it's kind of on its way out already for him. So hopefully, good morning, Angie. Lovely Malia. Hello, hello. Well, earlier this week, Friday morning, many of you know Janet Nash. She's a very talented lady in our community, and she has a channel on YouTube, and she does Friday flip throughs. Good morning, Pam. And so I caught her Friday flip through, and she's got the coolest journals, really. If you've never visited Janet for one of her Friday flip throughs, it's worth the watch. Angie's sewing. Why don't you take off about an hour or so, Ange? Just relax. Uh-oh. Oh, my cold symptoms? Yeah, I hope they go away too. We haven't had anything for a while, so we'll see. We'll see. Little post-nasal drip here and there, you know. Could be the change of the weather. You saw Janet's flip through, you loved it? Me too, Melody. But she has the coolest journals, and I've been wanting to do something like this for a while, and when I looked and watched Janet and spent that time with her, she reminded me. So I've put her name and her channel in my description box, and it should take you, good morning, Kelly, right to Janet's Friday flip through that was just this past Friday, which happened to be St. Patrick's Day. And you will see that she is sewing buttons on the edge of a journal page. So on, and there she is. There's our friend Janet. And so when I watched her stitch on those buttons, it reminded me that I've wanted to show this and replicate this for you all. And good morning, Kathy. Hey, Candy, good morning. And so I'm going to encourage you to, in the description box, go to Janet's channel and watch her stitch her buttons on the edge of her page. I had never thought about actually stitching onto the edge of my paper page. So I'm not going to do that today, but I'm going to just encourage you to go watch Janet. It's really, really cool what she does. Now, we all know, most of us, I don't know about the replayers, but a lot of us are into journals, decorating, journal pages, collage, and we know you can put almost anything on the edge of a page. But do we? I don't know. I don't know. So I have several journals that I've started, and this is what I do. I get a cover that I want to use, if I'm going to use the cover, and then I start pulling paper. I might write down my measurements here for the cover, and I just start throwing stuff together in signatures. And then when I'm ready to build it, I go ahead and pull out one of my covers and then just have at it. So I'm not sure that I'm actually going to do anything to these pages this morning. I'm going to see. It's very, very possible that I will. But I have some just pullouts here from, I don't know if this is a Reader's Digest or what it was from, that I can do some practicing on. But you know what? You guys have probably already done this stuff, but sometimes, I get there, but sometimes I'm just slow arriving at the gate. So quite some time ago when I had visited Hobby Lobby, and I was at that time selling in the market. That's Keisha's Creations, the virtual craft vendors market. And I was always looking for things that I thought my customers there at the market might enjoy. And this was on Hobby Lobby's clearance rack. And it said bolt as is. And I picked it up and I touched it. And then I put it down. And I started to move my cart and I went back and I touched it again and I started to move my cart. I mean, this was kind of hefty for my budget, even though it was clearance. I couldn't leave it. I absolutely couldn't leave it. And there's plenty here, and I've kind of been hoarding it. I have shared some of it. I haven't shared a lot of it, but I have shared some. And I just couldn't walk out without it. But you know what? It's easy. I think it's going to be fairly easy to make this. Now, I'm not going to do it the way they did because I'm not going to sit here and stitch it on my machine, which is what they did. But what you need is a crocheted type lace, that heavier bodied kind of lace. You know what I'm talking. You know what I'm talking. And I see I've got the jumpy screen again. I'm going to bring this down a little bit and see if that maybe kind of helps that. I don't know if I need to upgrade or what the deal is. I don't know. I don't think my little moon man there, I don't know if that's big enough for him to, that's annoying with the glare. I'm going to make my own trim. Now, if you look at this closely, they're just regular little buttons, and it's got the cotton type of lace, and they've used a very fine and soft rickrack. I don't really have any of that. I just started digging through some stuff, and I have a little bit of yellow and a little bit of this gold. Not a super fan of what I have available here. I'm really not that much of a rickrack person, but I thought, well, why not use ribbon? And if you look very closely, all they do is they just thread it through that top hole of the button. I guess it's really supposed to go this way. I'm showing you the back side. And then they laid it down and stitched it on. I'm going to use some glue today, so I don't have to stitch it, but certainly you could hand stitch it. I'm going to use Fabri-Tac. They made different lengths of their rickrack, right? He's very serious, the sad moon. I wonder if it really would help if I made one of those focus you freak things. So we're going to have a try at this. And then when I try this with the buttons, I think I might try some beads. We'll see about beads. Now, this may not work in every journal, but certainly you could attach this to the edge of the page. You could stitch it on, and you don't have to do the whole length of the page. You could do just a little bit on the edge of your page, right? Yes, and if you can crochet, you could make that type of trim, absolutely. And you could crochet the buttons right on as you went. But some folks, aren't going to do that. That might be a little fiddly, but it can be done. So my thing is if I could have taken a picture of this, but my thing was you know how it is, sometimes you see something and you really love it. I need a focus your freak sign, you think? Um, you know, you, you either forget the idea or you go back and you never see it again. So I bought it and I am glad I did. So I just pulled out a little piece of crocheted. Now this is a little wider. I'm going to attach my buttons to the very bottom here. And then I also pulled out some lovely little narrow pink ribbon. So let me see. This is 1/8 of an inch ribbon. And now I need me a handful of boutons. Oh dear, I hope I have some buttons. Oh my, I don't know if I have any buttons. Oh, I think I might try to stay in the pink. Oh, look at that guy. He's in the wrong place. Ooh, I think I'm going to try to stay pink if I can to match my ribbon. And I don't know that I need to undo those. Now, I don't know how these probably would flip. But, you know, you really probably, oh, there's a little gem missing out there. I'm sure you could also, you know, just sew buttons on the edge of your lace. But this morning, I'm going to try to just do and replicate what I purchased. So I need a lot of white and some pink. Some of these I have glue on. I don't have my buttons. Look, there's a little puffball. Little puffball. Here's some pink, but I think these are mostly. Good morning, Peggy. How nice to see you. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. All right, these are kind of purples and pinks in here. That's kind of pink. Now, certainly the one I showed you was neutral colors. Certainly you can do that. But if you have a little bit of this kind of lace, I got a little wire in there, so see if I can get that out. I kind of like that one. And I'm not going to do the whole length. I'm just going to do a little bit and just show you. Now, the original, like I said, was stitched on. Certainly you could hand stitch this on. And we'll just see how far we get with this little bit. So I'm just going to take some of my ribbon. Thank you, Janet. I love my buttons. I love my buttons. Now, usually with these crocheted pieces of edging or lace, there's really no right or wrong side, right? The tricky part is going to be getting this through some of the holes. And of course, you know, your nails not being able to pick up the dadgum buttons. I'm going to use my little pokey tool. Now, I just eyeballed. I didn't measure anything. I'm not really a person who likes to measure. Now, the one thing you want to remember is you want your buttons all facing the same way. So I would want to attach this way because I want to glue it down here. And you could stitch it so that it flips, you know, on the other side. Now I might want to just And I think for my, well, you know what? Let me see. Let me see how the Fabri-Tac does. I could use Floss Ange, but for today and to go quick for the stream, I'm just going to use some glue. And for those who don't have any floss, most folks have some kind of glue. But you could also pin this on and then just run it, if you have a machine, just run it on your machine. So we have options. Now you could go ahead and make a bunch of these, right? Just go ahead and put your little sections together. You could use twine, you could use thread. Is that what you were meaning, Ange, instead of the ribbon? The original was done with rickrack. See me struggling with my nails. This way, if you wanted any kind of a trim and you wanted to color theme it, you know, you could do it in a lot of different colors. Now I have a little heart button here. This is really small. I guess you could switch it up too. You could try it. And I'm not sure how that would look if we did some ribbon and some thread. Why not? This is just a sample to see what we can do. Now this one, actually, you know, you could tie them if you use thread. I guess you could tie the ribbon too. Yes, dental floss. We store that stuff up. I got a whole box of it. So this, I'm just going to put a little knot on this one. So really, like anything else we do, you know, of course, this is going to be flipped over. And I like that they did them at different lengths. Is Sophia here? Good morning, Sophia. Oh, this one's got some, see, I used that for something else. It's got some gluey on the back. I've got some square buttons. Oh, look at this. That only has 3 holes. Oh, I can't use that one. I don't know that I've ever seen a button with 3 holes. Here's a clear one. Do, 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 do. Yeah, that one I don't think is going to go. I've got one of these little bead needles here. Let's see. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Got a bit of thread in there. I am very hard on these beading needles. I forget and I yank it real hard and then I bust it. So I'm trying to be a little more gentle. So that solves that problem there. Now, like I say, there's all different things you could do. right? You could do some slow stitching stuff to attach these on, run it down your machine. If you don't have a machine, you can use some glue, right? So I'm going to flip these over. And then, of course, the original, let's see. Yeah, they just picked a spot. See, I've got the back side here. I've got this wound on backwards. And they just glued them, they just stitched them all on, you know, in the same spot. When I was thinking about this, I thought maybe they looped it through the little holes, but they just stitched it on the back. So I'm going to just put a little bit of my glue down. This is going to be the back for me. So I'm just going to pop that down into my glue. I thought I heard my pooch. I got to watch for my pooch if she has to go out. And then just space them how you'd like. Got to remember where you put your glue. But see, if you sat at your machine, you know, you could just stitch that. I'm going to put this one down a little longer. This would also be a way to use up some, maybe some ribbon scraps, or if you have some rickrack, right? And this guy I want to flip over. I might have got that guy. No, I got him on right, I think. Now, if I was in a real super hurry, I would be using my hot glue. And really, if you wanted to do it easier, I guess you could really stitch these all onto a piece of seam binding and then stitch it onto your lace or your trim. It doesn't have to be lace, right? If you're doing it this way, it could be a piece of trim that you want. I'm sorry, but that's super cute. Now, you could also, if you go back and watch Janet's video where she's stitching her buttons on paper, on the edge of her paper, you could really just hand stitch buttons here, correct? Maybe you don't like the dangly, you know, maybe you prefer things to be where you put them on your journal. So certainly you could do this and stitch them on. So that's another idea, right? And you could do all different kinds of things. So let's just see what else I have here. You don't have to do just these kind of buttons. Maybe you have some wooden buttons. So let's see what I have in here. We'll do a little variety. Oh, I'm glad, Janet. Look. Let's see how this looks. I've got a couple little different Got some butterflies here. And I've cut a couple different of these kind of wooden buttons. And I made some, I want to do this too. I haven't done this. Let's see. I made some shrinky dinks. Could try a shrinky dink. I know I've got some other little wooden buttons. I forget when I joined, but it's been a while. I think my first video I did, I used to do mostly standalones. Yeah, the little, I was going to get to those, Kath. I have these little rosettes. Now, it just depends on how thick you want your pages, but these are going to be, this will be hanging off the edge, right? Of your page. I have an owl somewhere. I have an owl, but I don't know where I threw him. But same process, you know. Get some thread. Absolutely, Ange, for sure. I think the thread is easier as far as, you know, tying them on. So I'm just going to tie a couple of these. I like the little knot. Somewhere I have other wooden buttons. I'm just not sure. I didn't think about wooden buttons until a few minutes ago. Oh, there's some. Hold on. Let me grab my other little box. I think I've got different. I think I've got some birds and some different shapes. Let's see. Oh yes. Now that one might be a little difficult because the holes are down so low, but look, there's a cute little star. Little fleur. Now mostly sticking with the wooden. Look, here's some. I got this off of something at a Goodwill. It was some kind of a fishing thing to hang on the wall, and I brought it home and took it all apart. There's my owl. Not see, his holes are down kind of far. That guy might work. What about a little spool? Look at the little spool. It might be a good way to use up some buttons that you might not you know, normally use in a project, but if you attach them to some lace or something, might be good. I must have I fell asleep listening to the market. Fabric beads, yes, Kathy. or your handmade paper beads. All right, so let's see what some of this looks like. Let's get this butterfly on here. Now, of course, again, you can use your floss, you can use your ribbon if you've got some thin rickrack that's gonna, fit in the holes. You can jazz it up any way you want. Let's see, I'm getting my hand out of frame here. Oh, okay, Kathy, don't miss that. Okay. Now this, I guess if you took a nice big thick piece of ribbon or yarn or something, you could just knot it maybe and put some glue on your knot and it wouldn't come through, but I'm just going to see if I can. Yup, seed beads. I've got some beads sitting here. I wanted to try beads on the next one. If I can get this to go through. It's kind of rough in there. So I'm just going to grab like a kind of like a darning type needle. See if I can get that through. I'm just going to anchor this the same way. I'm just going to knot it. Maybe knot it down a little closer to the bugle beads might look cute. Hey, good morning, Arlene. I hope I didn't miss anybody. Let's see. I didn't get that down as far as I wanted. Well, we got some different stuff going on here. Let's see, this little star would be cute. The stars at night are big and bright, deep in the heart of Texas. Okay. Now, I'm not sure about this little bird. Sometimes, like years ago with the painting on wood and stuff, I had a bunch of this kind of stuff, like little tiny spools and buttons and hearts and all that jazz. I still got a bunch of it. And now, if you're like Keisha and you have that little Dremel, you could drill a hole into almost anything. Now this, I don't know, I might want to tie this a little closer if I can, because I don't want the bird to go all cattywampus. So if you want to get a knot right where you'd like it to be, sometimes if you put it's like having an extra finger. You put your pokey tool or a pin or something right close to your object, and then you pull your thread. You can get your knot pretty darn close. Do 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 do. Oh, here's a cute little flower. I don't think that's going to happen, Ange. I think she's pretty protective of her drill. My husband has one, but I don't think it's like, I mean, he's got like a regular, like a man's drill. I don't know if they're different, but I had him drill some holes in some of my paper pages, and They didn't get so good. They got a little rough and a little beat up. So you get the idea, right? So you can dangle a bunch of stuff, glue it on, stitch it on, and have at it. I think they will look cute. I don't think I need to glue those on, do I? For today? Yeah, that's me. Sexist for sure. It's to do heavy duty stuff. I don't do heavy duty stuff. I need a girl drill. And I don't mind saying it. I don't. I really don't. Okay. So I think that would be cute, right? You could put this on seam binding. You could put it on ribbon. You may not have any of this lace. That's all right. Don't let it stop you. Try it on something else. You think your drill's defective? It overheats sometimes? Oh yeah, be careful. Be careful. And like I said, you may not want your whole page to have this on it because some of the paper that we use might be a little flimsy. So like a whole page of something like this might, hey Tina, good morning. Might be a little troublesome, but a little section, that would be cute, right? So let's put that aside. So that's one idea. Now we talk about clusters and things that we do, and we decorate our journal pages with a lot of different stuff. What about a cluster or some type of clustery bit to go on the edge of the page? So I like to decorate these little film strip frame, not film strip. What did they call them? Gail, have to help me on this. Da, 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 da. So I'm going to take a little bit of tissue paper. Slides. Thanks, Tina. My mom or my dad had tons of them. And my mom was getting ready to throw them out. And I'm like, no. So if you take a little bit of anything, napkin, tissue. Hi, Susan. Good morning. Anything you like that you think might go with whatever you're about to work on. Now, most of this is going to be, you're not going to see a whole lot of it. It's just going to be, So I'm going to put some glue. I've got some Elmer's glue all in this jar. I'm going to just brush a little bit of this on with one of my glue brushes. And of course, didn't get out a paper towel. Let's get a paper towel. So I can take that extra moisture off. And I'm just going to paint a little bit of, let's see, I'm going to put this side down. On my frame. Wow, Ange, that's a lot. That's great. All right, now I'm just going to pick a spot and pop it down. Hold that down a few minutes. Put that back in my water. And then like with any other collage, you want to just, oh yeah, what happened to that bump on your hand, Ann? Did it go down, or did you ever, oh, Kath is back? All right, cool. Did you ever go get that hand looked at? Now I would think most of us, if not all of us, here this morning have bits of whatever, paper, fabric, fibers, yarns, So of course, whatever you create, use what you have available, right? All right, I'm going to give that a moment to dry. Your buttons, your cheesecloth, little ratty tat things, little feathers, rickrack, whatever you have. Little, when I think of Arlene, I think of, metally bits like parts of clocks and gears and, all that kind of jazz. You can use all that stuff to decorate, a little frame like this. Let's see if I can get my little bin out here that's got some more interesting things in it that we can maybe add. Let's see. I like to use the little brads sometimes. And some of these little bulb pins. Charms. We did a lot of charms last night at the market. I was looking all over for one I want. Oh, there it is right there. Holy moly. Little bells. I'm not seeing what I was looking for. I was looking for, I've got some gears somewhere, like little pieces of gears. Not pieces, like the little Timmy things. Good morning, Sherry. Yes, little earrings. You could take, it's a cyst. Okay, so she went to the doctor. I guess it's a cyst. And he told me if it doesn't get better to come back and he would send me to a surgeon. Okay, keep an eye, keep an eye. Arlene just went to the garden and used the rock. Cool. Yeah, be 2 months. Well, that's something to consider, but you got to put your health first. Hey, Christine G. Good morning. I could hit that with my heat gun. Hit it with a heat gun. All right, now once this dries, maybe I will, so I can show you this, because it needs to be dry. Let's hit it with the heat gun a little. And if it's a little rough, I'm going to it's a little rough. Now, somewhere in this entourage of goodies here in my creative space, I have an emery board that I use for crafting. And once that napkin or tissue dries, instead of using a pair of scissors, I generally use some kind of a file, and it just brings it off really nicely, and you get a really nice edge. Very nice edge indeed. Now, of course, I'm going to want to. Now, you could really leave that covered, but generally, I'll just cut that and then tack it down on the other side. Once I get it open, and then I can get a pair of scissors in there. I'll have all my little scissors out by my comfy chair. The more little cuts you make, the nicer of an edge, you should be able to get when you tuck this in. And of course, I could sand this too. That might be an idea. Let's see if I can get my emery board in there. Makes it even nicer. But you just want to make sure, if you do the emery board thing, you want to make sure that it's dry. Now, of course, if you have any of the little pictures or anything there, you might have something in a journal that you're working on that, would go with what you're doing. So you might want to match that. I'm just trying to think quickly here what I might have. Hey, Barbie, good morning. So I'm just going to ink my edges because I like that. Now I have my glue gun plugged in because I also like to use my glue gun. And then you can just really use little snippets of whatever and decorate it according to what you're working on. I did have some, where did I put those? I was cleaning up a bunch of stuff from working on my garden journal, and well, I don't know where I put it. I need to put something, I think, underneath there. Could really just put some text, right? Let's do what's easy. Just going to make a little mark around the edge so I have somewhere where I know where to cut. Yes, music would be neat for sure. Now let's get a little stamp or something. Let's see if I have anything in handy that will work. That's too big. Of course, a sticker would work, right? Any kind of a little sticker. Of course, oh, there's a little flower. Let's do a little flower. I see snowflakes. I don't think I want snowflakes. Bum, bum, bum. Just kind of work with what you got. I really don't cut straight. Home is where the art is. That's cute. All right, so to get it in the right spot, I'm just going to put my glue right around the frame, and I want to make sure that I had it going the right way. Now the book, the journal that I pulled out and the pages that I was looking at, I was thinking about working with today. It looks like they're, oh, I can't get this pin back in this. There it goes. Looks like they're, unicorns. So I don't really have anything unicorny right here next to me within reach that I can decorate pages with. I got that a little crooked. Now I'm going to pull out my favorite, one of my new favorite colors. Ganache. Ganache. And you could color that in with some watercolor, or, jazz it up. Jazz it up. So then if we take a little bit of this, it doesn't take too terribly long to make one of these. Usually I like to put down some of that stuff. The name of it always escapes me. Wonder how this would look if I put a... Oh, maybe if I had smaller ones. That's cute. I get a little piece of thread here. Cheesecloth. It eventually comes to me, but I just don't know why it doesn't come to me right off. Now you can also stamp on buttons, so if you have the desire to, you can stamp on your buttons, like put maybe some script or something on there. That's my personal favorite, but you could do whatever. Ganache has her snack and her catnip. She's sleeping. Okay, thank you. Kel has a kitty cat named Ganache, and one day she was quite a fidgety kitty because I kept saying the word and she thought I was calling her. The little sweetie. The little sweetie. All right, I'm just seeing if I can find another little bit of, here. Let's get a little piece of this. Oh, I just love old bits of jazz. Old bits of jazz. Lori, you are going to kill me, but I am going. All right, Ange. You got to do what you got to do. Now, this is all kind of one note. I get that, but I like it this way. So what I'm just building like a cluster here on this. Now you can add a pin. You can do whatever you want. You can do it. You can do it. And I'm going to just hit this with a little bit of my glue gun. Pop that on. Trim off my little, you can add charms. You can do whatever you want. flowers, the little cloth flowers. I keep hearing a noise and I'm thinking it's my pooch coming out wanting to go to the outside, as we say here. Now, the one thing I like to keep in mind is when I'm going to attach something like this to my page, because you can certainly use this on your page, but I like to stick it out on the edge sometimes and use it as a trim for the edge of my page. So of course, when you do that, you've got this over here, right? So if you're gonna let it hang out, you might want to do something with this side. Now you're only going to have a little bit that's hanging over. So perhaps a little piece of lace. Now this is a big lace. This is a big piece of lace. But I'm only going to use a little portion of it, and that's okay because I'm going to glue down most of it. So if I put it this away, it's going to stick out on the back, which kind of looks cool. And then when I flip it, it's also going to look nice on the other side of my page. And if you're using the, glue gun, you don't want to hurt your finger and burn yourself. So you have to be careful here when you're arting. Now, you may say, well, that's all well and good, Lori, but I don't have those slide projector frames. Use a piece of cardstock. Cut yourself a square. Layer it up, right? You can do the same thing. And then you can now, I'm going to probably use this in a book, so I'm not going to glue it down to this faux page that I have here. But I love making those. And then, of course, you can, put whatever fits your theme in your book. Not rocket science, right? You've probably all seen these kinds of things before. Now, when I go back to thinking about the danglies that we made earlier with this, I was going to try some beads. So this is a bit of lace that I got from the market as my gift for being the third tier, reaching the third tier. And Keisha was very gracious when she switched how things were working at the market, and I was able to achieve the third tier level. So this is a very sturdy piece of lace. It's really pretty, isn't it? It's really cool. So I'm just wondering how maybe some little beads would look on the edge. And I was thinking about stitching those on. I'm not an expert stitcher, but somewhere I pulled out, where did I pull? Oh, here they are. These little, they're seed beads, but they're not teeny, teeny, tiny. Now I'm just wondering, see, I have some pink thread here. Maybe I'll go ahead and use this because this is so light. I think once I start stitching with it, I'm not sure that you really are going to be able to see it. So I want to get a needle that's a little thinner, I think. And I think I can probably thread that one. So let's have at it. Don't know how this is going to go. I am, I would say for the most part, I'm slow stitch challenged. I did some embroidery stuff when I was a younger gal. And I can do the basics, like I can do a French knot and that kind of jazz, you know? And that's a really pretty pink, right? But when it's out by itself, you really don't see too much of it. So I was thinking I might like to have some of these little seed beads. So I'm really not sure how to approach this, but I'm going to put my knot on the, well, my knot's pretty small, so I'm just going to go in here. I'm going to put my knot on the back. And I guess there's a couple different ways you can do it, right? I doubled my thread. Maybe that wasn't too smart. I guess I can come right back down like that and just stitch it on, right? What if I want to dangle some from there? I guess I can just load it up, right? As long as my bead goes through, fits over my needle. Yeah, that one did. Hallelujah. Now these are kind of sparkly, but they're real little. I guess I could knot this end. Is anybody in here a real super stitcher? I guess I would want a smaller one at the end, right? If I was going to knot it. That's kind of a darker color. Let's not do that one. See, originally I was thinking I would just come back in here and pull my thread just to where I wanted it and knot it. But I don't think that's going to work. I guess it could work. But I want it to hang down straight. And my thread's kind of thin. Maybe if I did it this way, what if I go back through, I go over that one, and I go back through these beads? How about that? And try not to knot my thread. Do you know, is anybody following me? Do you get me? You don't understand what are you getting what I'm putting down there? I'm going to use Teresa's idea, use a magnet, pick up that needle. That works okay. Then I can just come back here and put in a little knot. Ah, I've gotten myself twisted. There we go. I think I put my thread through where I didn't want it. Maybe it's just twisted around. I need my other glasses. Well, if I didn't twist it, I think it would be good. Can you see it? And then you could continue, and put them however you want. I like that. I think I might add some more. She may have done a random cackle. I don't know. I did. So I think that's another idea that would work. And you could put that on the edge of your page. Now, of course, you can stitch, your lace on, glue it on, but the idea is to let these little things hang out the edge. Well, I generally have at least 2 on my head at any given time. And if I'm out in the sun, it could be 3. 1 on my face and usually 2 on top of my head. So there's another idea for an edge. So then I got thinking, okay, so Janet Nash is stitching buttons onto paper. Absolutely adorable. You have to go back and watch. What if, and maybe you guys have tried this, I have not. It just never occurred to me. A lot of people are slow stitching these days. What if we slow stitched on the paper? Like I've stitched with my machine on paper. I love sewing on paper. I think it's just absolutely fabaroony, to use one of Janet's words. And I've never tried to slow stitch on my actual page. So I thought I might give it a go. So I've got some yellow. Now this is embroidery floss. Oh, I don't think I want that color. And I've got some green. Let's do blue. Now, like I said, I am somewhat slow stitch challenged. I would like to learn some different stitches, but I just really haven't done it. I have several slow stitch projects started. I know you'll find that very hard to believe. Now, I think probably choosing the correct needle would be important here, because you don't want to make holes in your paper. I don't think too big of holes, right? Now, my aunt would call this a sword because the needle's so long, but I can get the thread in there, I think. And I don't think I want to use, for some that may not know, embroidery thread is 6 strands, right? I don't think I want to use all 6 on the paper. So I'm going to take a little length off. Now, the only other thing I'm thinking is, on the back side of this, it may not look so great, but you can always glue something on the back of the next page. a bit of fabric, something in your paper pack, that goes along with your journal. So I just divided this. I'm using 3. Teresa, thank you. That works like a charm. That they're using a magnet to pick up these little medley things. Angie. I struggle with numbers. All right. So let's do plain first. So I'm just going to start up here on this edge and let's just see how it goes. I'm just going to do, oh, I can see where that would be fiddly. Well, maybe I can go back down that same hole. I'm going to make just little loopy-doops. This is not really called a loopy-doop. I don't know what it's called. Kelly, I think Kelly has, and I'm sure others do too. I'm sure Canadian Artisan does. But see, with the paper, with cloth is forgiving because your fibers will go back together. But with a paper, I don't know that I want to keep going in and out of that same hole. And if I get too close, my paper will tear. This could look wonky. But Kellyanne, who's in chat, I know she's been teaching stitches. And she is a good teacher. And I don't know, Kathy, do you have I know Kathy's been doing some slow stitching. I'm not sure. She may have a video too that addresses certain stitches. I have a hard time remembering my own videos. Maybe stitch on washi tape, or I was thinking about some fabric, Brenda, but I wanted to try to do it just plain first to see what happened. Oh my gosh. Kel, I have no idea, hon. I'm just making these little loop-de-doops. That's what I call it. A loop-de-doop. To try to make little petals for a fleur. Now, if you want anybody to think you're crazy, just sit out in public at a gathering, a family gathering, or in front of the TV and just start stitching on paper, and they'll think, yep, she's already going over the edge. See, now, like I said, it doesn't look so great on this side, right? To cover that up with some lace or another piece of fabric, or do some other stitches on this side. I'm just going to finish this here so we can move along, because I got me some other ideas. I got some ideas, some other stuff. I think I might like to try a French knot. Doesn't look too bad. Brenda is exactly right. You could put some fabric or something behind there. Let's just get a little bit of this yeller, this old yeller. See how a French knot does on the paper. This is really yellow. And then if you're Angie, you're going to count to 4. Take your thread apart. The rest of us are just going to do 3. Your boys know you're crazy. Oh, they're good sons. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Barbie. Now the magnet works great, but you have to remember where your magnet is. Oh, there's the rub. All right, so let's try a French knot. So then I was thinking, see, I do a lot of thinking. What if you stamped a design down the side of your page and then got your thread out and stitched over the design? You know, don't stamp it real heavy. Do like, you know, you stamp it and then you stamp off on something. So you just get enough of the, whoops, you got to have a bigger knot if you're going to do this. Maybe the 6 strands would be better. Just like, you know, years ago. Yep, Lori, that close-up showed me you did a detached daisy chain for a flower petal. Oh, thank you, Cal. AKA loop-de-doop. Okay. So I'm just going to wind 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know. I'm coming down next to holding out I should hold out my thread. That's a messy one. I'm going to come back up and do another. Oh, don't covet my buttons. These I can't even talk about buttons. I think when you do a French knot, you're supposed to have a third hand that you can then hold that thread nicely to get a nice knot. That one's better. But see, it works. Okay, so now you could also, like what Brenda was saying, put down a piece of fabric, or I was thinking a piece of cheesecloth. Or you could do both. Could you not? No pun intended. Take a little chunk of this. Oh, see, this is really thin, so that's the problem there. And then take a little piece of fabric up at from the back, wrap 3 to 4 times down at B, very close to A, and pull. There's Joni. Hi, Joni. Yes, it's very cold here too, and breezy. It's breezy here. Now, I dare say you could try any of these things anywhere on your page, but I was just thinking edges. 2, 3, 4. I want to learn how to do that. B stitch where you have the really long needle. Susan Taylor Brown does it. And it's like a big tube and you can make lines. Now, come on. Come on, girls. How cute is that, huh? On the edge of a page. Come on. Add a little button, couple more stitches, especially if you're doing a garden journal. Love it. Love it. Okay, so that worked. Now, sometimes you'll see people will take paper, and I think Janet Nash makes these. I know Laura Jersey has made these because she sent me some. I have never really made this, but people take strips of paper, whatever. We all save. Yeah, that's it. Bouillon. Thanks, Barbie. I should just think of soup. Thanks, Sherry. Oh, that's too much for my brain, Kel. Okay, so they take strips of paper or strips of fabric, whatever, right? And then you fold them like this, and then you put them on your machine. Thanks, Mitch. And you stitch it. It makes like this wavy thing, right? And you could use seam binding. You could use sari silk. I think sometimes, Sherry, my knots don't always work out because I go too fast. And if I hold that other thread, it has worked much better for me. Paper pleats. Man, Cal, you got it going on, girl. Right? So you could stitch this down. And they make these and they keep them in their stash, and when they want to use them, they have them to use. Well, why not just put it on your paper? Why not just put it on the edge of your page? So then you're not, like double timing. You're not like, well, I mean, sometimes you want to make stuff ahead. I get that. I get that. But you could really, let me see if I've got a decent piece of fabric here. This might be a little too thick. Now, this is a piece of fabric that I was stamping and inking on. So of course you could edge your paper with that, right? But you could also, if you have anything like this, pleat it up, girls, and add a little smidge on. I'm sure you've thought of all these things. I haven't. I have not thought about these types of things for on the edges of my pages. Duh. Now, I've been zigzagging and doing things like that on the edges of my pages for a while. And I love that. I think that's like really cool. But what if we did a blanket stitch of some kind, like a blanket, or what's the other name of that kind of a stitch? Blanket, or there's another one I'm thinking of. Hey, Shaz. Good morning. Fabulous fibs. Ba, 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 ba. Quite a while ago, we were talking about this in another stream. We couldn't think of the name of it, and somebody said the name. This little tool, Kathy Arbor. We are memory keepers, and this is it puts holes in your page. So, what if you put holes in your page? Whip stitch. Thanks, Peg. Whew. I would not have come up with that. I don't think I would have come up with that. All right, let's take some of this green. I'm going to leave this all 6 threads. It's like a tracing wheel, Kath, but it's got little holes and it punctures holes in it. Mitch, do you remember the name of this thing? And you can, this is just a straight one. You can get them where they, I think, zigzag and do different shapes. But see, I have a hard time going in a straight line. Well, actually, I have a hard time wheeling in a straight line. But this helps you get a straight line. And Kathy Arbor was, in one of her journals, she was wanting to stitch on the edges of her paper, of her page. So my idea is twofold. It does perforate, but that's not the name of it. It's got a specific name. They sell them on, I'm sure, a lot of places, but I got mine on Amazon. And it's called, not a stitch marker, but it's got a, oh yeah, I guess a buttonhole stitch would be good too. Oh, a tracing wheel can puncture too? Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, see? See, we're learning a lot of stuff here today. Don't tell anybody. They won't want to come. If we learn too much, they won't want to come. They won't want to come and hang out. So for Christmas, I did some tea towels. Now, some of the more talented girls, like our Pam and our Kathy, our Calico Kate, and I'm sure others of you as well, I made some tea towels that can hang on your stove, right? Okay, now I'm not sure I'm going to do this right because I always get confused. So maybe I want to start in the back. And do I come in the front again and then up this way? Yeah, I did it. Whoa, baby. Whoa, baby. No, Shaz, these are press-on like nails. They're called Red Aspen. If you're interested, they have wonderful, wonderful. Wait do you see the new ones I'm getting? Um, Different sizes, all different colors, all different. They're very reasonable. And if you'd like more information, my sister sells them. All right, so I want to come back in the front. And I want to make sure my thread is like in that loop. And thank you, Shaz. These are fun. And they have new ones coming out. Well, they have all kinds of designs all the time with these nails, but the new ones that I ordered, they're like, oh, I can't even describe them. They got hot pink tips, I think, and like kind of like funky flowers, I would say. Like they're really cool. I can't wait to get them. They'll be great for spring. All right. So in making the tea towels, what I had to do was put a stitch similar to this on the top of the towel, like where the towel folds. If you join her Facebook group, her name is Jackie Donut, and if you join her Facebook group and ask for nail information, I can send you, if you private message me, I can send you the link, and it's just easier. I don't have the brain to remember the location of her nail information. I know, it's crazy. Yeah, these aren't long though, Ange. These are short, and they do have longer ones. But they're really fun. And I know they're not for everybody, but I love them. And then when I'm going to mess around with inks and stuff, I just take them off. Or I, plan working with my inks and stuff around my nails. So you can see what I'm doing here. And most of you know how to do this. But I was just wondering if I did this. See, what I had to do for the towels is I had to put on a stitch like this, and then I came back in with more of the yarn, which I'm going to say this is my yarn, and took a crochet hook and started to crochet across here. And that's how you made the little handle that went up and hooked around your, I left some there I didn't do, but that's okay. So I'm just going to go in here and grab, I hope, my thread and sneak it under there and crochet a little bit. Thinking maybe I like to put 2 in here. Now, you know, it might be fiddly, but it might be cool by the time I'm done. I don't know. Now, certainly I would need more thread. I didn't leave much on here. I can't talk and do this. Yes, me too, Barbie. Exactly. Now you can do any of this on, oh, I didn't pull that all the way through. You know, you could do this on tags. You can do it on anything, right? If we're doing it on the edge of a page, why can't we do it on a tag? Now, I mean, just the stitch by itself, I thought looked kind of cute on the page. All right. So easy stitch piercer, you're asking me? Well, that sounds closer to what it is. It's something like that. Yeah, it can be fiddly, but once you get this first row on, and I'm just scooting in behind here, right under that little stitch, and then I make a stitch at the end. See, now I got something going on, huh? I got something going on. Yeah, Keisha's nails are really long. I feel pretty, oh so pretty. Okay, so then you have to turn your work, and I'm going to come back down on this side, right underneath here. You know, and you'd have to look up a pattern or maybe make up your own. Joni could probably make up a pattern. But, you know, you could just, yeah, I didn't think about the texture, right, Peggy? And then if you were thinking ahead, you could put some beads on here. So let's just go down a little bit. Of course, if you were learning to tat, you might be able to do this with tatting as well, for sure, right? I'm starting to run out of thread. Now, could you crochet something aside from attaching it to the paper? Of course, but oh my gosh, how boring is that? How boring is that? So now I'm going to I turned to my work again, so I'm just making single crochets. Yeah, knitting might not work with this. Geez, most people are knitting challenged, Peg. Good for you. holding those two needles. I mean, I love to knit, but holding those two needles can really do a person in. All right, so then when you want to end it, you just pull it through. And now I can tie a charm or something on there, or a bead, or whatever, right? You could stitch another little flower on there. You could throw a button on. Where's one of our little bulb pin that you can't pick up? Where's my little beads? Let's put a little bead on here. They're going on there whether you like it or not. I don't think the little pearl will fit. I keep pinching and I'm not getting it. There he is. There he is. Then you would weave your little end in. Now, of course, you can add other stuff on top here to make it look, you know, jazzier. It's all about the jazz. You know, this would be threaded in whatever you stitch. It's just another idea. I know. Could be, you know, it's silly, but you could do it. Bye, Arlene. Thanks for coming in. Have a good day. Now, a little while back, I was trying to think of a similar idea to do for the market, and I just couldn't get the idea really developed as far as packaging and stuff. Oh, I forgot I had all these. Look at that. Forgot I had those. Yikes. But if you do crochet, you could do little things like this as well. Of course, if you're going to get this involved, you know, you might want to do these separately. Now this one I put the beads on. But see, look how cute would that be for a dangle. Now you could also starch these things if you wanted them to be a little stiffer, because see, we've got different edges too. See, you can put stuff off the top edge and the bottom edge too. I love stuff sticking out all over my journal pages. This one, I haven't been in this box in a while, so I'm not quite sure what bag of tricks I have in here. This one you can see I was crocheting, and then similar to our idea earlier, crocheted buttons onto a little trim I was making. That turned out okay. And it looks like I was trying some other stuff. These are beads. I don't know how that would work for an edge. You can use all different kinds of threads, you know. You could use up maybe some different threads that you have that you can't seem to part with. And then you could just glue this on or come down with your sewing machine if you have one, or hand stitch it on. I do like the buttons. Now, a lot of us have wanted, and some of us are fortunate to, oh, there you go, Sherry. I forgot about that. Yeah, because you can buy stuff to starch or stiffen your things. Like I've mentioned before, my mom used to crochet doilies, and she would starch them, and we would do, she would do like stars for our Christmas tree. But Sherry says Elmer's glue and water also will stiffen fabric or crochet. It might be cheaper than the starch. It probably would, and most of us already have that, right? So this is a whale tail um, punch, which I happen to be fortunate. I got one many years ago before they got so expensive. It's a retired tool. I think it's by, I think it's Stampin' Up. What'd Kath say? Oh, oh, talking about our hands, yeah. So, of course, you don't have to have the whale's tail. You can do a circle. You can, you know, find these shapes online and trace it. But you just fold these in half if you're not familiar with the whale's tail. And you want something to crease it down with. Well, I haven't even looked at my time. Right? And then, of course, I always like to ink it because that's just me. Got my phone buzzing here somewhere. Oh, there it is. Just make sure there's nothing. All right. My sister's giving me nail information. Let me just tell her I'm streaming. Where'd she go? And I like to attach different things to this. You could do just a rectangle, you know. But if you're unfamiliar with them, you just put your glue on both sides and, the tab. So I like to punch holes. Now, you could put an eyelet in there. Some of us are eyelet challenged. Just saying. But then you can tie things on it, like a charm, or use your bulb pin. Or you could do what we were doing earlier with some thread, put it through a button, and dangle a couple of buttons. Why couldn't we do that? Well, we could. We could do it. I just need to find my puncher. And then I was thinking, what about a steampunk? If you were doing a steampunk kind of a journal, you could put eyelets all the way down the edge. Add some fabric on, some grunged up fabric, and then just punch your eyelets. And then you could crochet stuff through that. There's just all kinds of stuff you can do. So let's see. Let's take a couple pieces of thread. And let's grab a couple of these boutons. Let's see. That one's quite large. Oh, here's a cute little white one. A little white and a little gold. Might be nice. So I'm going to do the same thing I did earlier. And I'm just going to go through one hole of my button so it kind of is a little dangly, and I'm going to put a knot there because I like to. You don't have to do that. You could probably, oh, I wonder how that would work if I did it the other way. Let's try. What if you put, okay, Gail, thanks for coming in. I appreciate it. You have a great day. I think her surgery still is the 4th. I don't think that's changed. So she's got a little time yet. Okay, so where did I put, instead of fiddling around, let's see if I can. I'm going to use my, see, now I have to think about this because I want it to go through this way. There she is. There's our Laura. Laura, were your ears burning? I was just talking about you. I was talking about that, girls, what did you call it? The pleated paper. I know you sent me some. See, now I'm putting this through the button double. So then you can loop it. Doing a lot of looping today. You can loop it right through there. So that's a nice way to attach your button. I like that. And then we could tie these, just tie these in here. Just give a little tie, be very rustic. Could also add them to the bulb pin, in some fashion. You girls have plenty of imagination. Thanks, Laura. We were just talking about the nails. Sometimes I like to use my tweezers to do some of this stuff. It's easier. These are just stick-ons. See, if I went to a nail salon and I wanted somebody to do this kind of design for me, first of all, they probably couldn't do it. Second of all, if they did, it would cost just a small fortune. Loop it. Loop it good. Yeah. Loop it. So I'm just going to, I usually only tie one on. I don't know why. I'm tying 2 buttons on. I feel like I'm all thumbs. Okay. Now I probably would want to buy Candy. Enjoy the rest of your day. Just want to sneak in there and grab my threads and give it another little, you don't have to be as stingy with your thread as I am. You might want to do those a little shorter, but you get the idea with this one too. I just love things that dangle from the outside of your journal pages. And these could be charms. They could be beads. You could switch it up. It could be plain, and you just put a sticker. Instead of using one, you could use a couple. Now this, of course, this option looks good on both sides, right? I don't think there's anything else in my my box here. And you could use, yeah, you're good at the dangly stuff, Laura. I'm always telling people about my dangly thing you made me. I don't even know what you call it. I have it right here by my desk. I think it's behind my computer over there. So that's an idea too, right? I really kind of like this stitching on the paper idea. And I have a bunch of, this kind of stuff that I don't know. I guess my mom had it years ago. I don't know. I guess people use this for hems. And some of these colors are pretty wild, so your project would have to be pretty specific for a certain color, But I don't think to use this kind of thing for my edging either. Then, of course, there's also just fabric. Now, a lot of us are always purchasing at some of the various markets different bits of broken jewelry and things like that. Maybe you have a pair of earrings that you really liked and one broke, or in my case, your dog got a hold of it and chewed the heck out of one of them. Bye, Ange. But a lot of times we have, bits of fabric like this left over. And I can't seem to throw that away. And of course, building clusters and whatnot, a lot of us like to do that. But you could also overlap your edge of your paper with a bit of fabric. And then I guess you could really even just maybe base stitch this on if you have a machine. Who did I miss? Joyce. Hello, Joyce. Good morning. Oh, I guess it's afternoon. I'm saying good morning to everybody, and it's afternoon. And I guess you could put a little glue down. I would be careful where you put your glue, because then when you want to put your needle through, you might get some of that residue on your needle, and then it would make it difficult. But if you glue it like out far enough and then make sure you're stitching in here, it would really make the buttonhole stitch or whatever we were doing earlier, that would be easier to come in. But you're working right on your page. I never really thought about working right on the page of my book. You could zigzag this on and then add some slow stitching in a little spot. And then a lot of us have these little delightful little cloth roses. You can make the cluster right on the edge of your page. Let's see. So, oh, I happen to have purple. How about that? Absolutely, Kathy. I didn't even think about that. You're exactly right. Yes, for those fabric journals we have for the edges of our pages. My goodness, let me go grab one of them. But see, here I have some purple. I just happen to have purple flowers. But these come in all different colors. I have a jar of those somewhere too. I worked with a gal at Shaz is asking, does anyone remember cottage craft using fabric and laces? It may have another name. It doesn't ring. Pam, I just saw your comment. She's in over her head with puppies. Oh, God bless you, Pam. I worked with a girl at the co-op, and she said, do you have any use for these? She knew someone. They were clearing out and getting rid of a bunch of stuff, and they were just going to throw it in the dumpster. And I got a bunch of ribbon and a bunch of these ribbon flowers. She made cards, and as a photographer, she didn't really have any use for it. See, and then you get stuff like this, if you buy doilies, or you get a chance to get your hands on some old lace like this, a chunk of this There are still 5 puppies here. You haven't even get rid of that many, have you? Would you have just 7? You're only 2 down. Oh, you need to start hawking them pups. Oh my gosh, they're so cute. If you go on and watch a couple of Pam's videos, she's got those puppies running all around. So cute, so cute. Okay, what was I gonna? Oh, cloth. A cloth, a fabric. Let's see if I can grab one. Yeah. Oh, these are my wonky ones. This is the slot and tab journal. Slot and tab journal. Hubby's talking to our pup. Of course, you may not want it on your front cover. Now, you wouldn't necessarily want red on there. But you get what we're saying, right? You could do a lot of this stuff in your fabric journal as well. And certainly, a lot of us would do slow stitching on a fabric journal, but I'm just saying I never really thought about the edge. Oh, I guess 2 puppies are gone. Yeah, puppies. Oh, there's Carol. Hi, Carol. I never thought about doing some of this stuff on the edge. I don't know why. Now, see, I've been tatting, trying to tat. Where did I have? Oh, somewhere here in this mess. I took a couple pieces of fabric and I'm trying to learn to tat on the edge of it. And I was going to show you that. Now I don't know where I put it. It's not going so well. It's just all right. But I need practice, like everything else. I need to be a practicing. I had it all wound up. But anyway. You could tat right onto the edge. Especially your fabric. I think tatting might be a little tricky on paper. But then you just do like little loops. Oh, it's horrible to be outnumbered. My husband said when our pup goes, which is probably in the not too distant future, she's not a pup. She's a full grown lady dog. And she's, got some health issues that are not going to get any better. And I would go have a puppy. I'd have a puppy now if it were up to me. But and sometimes you can find the tatted stuff, on the edge of an old hanky. Oh, okay. So Pam's going to keep 2. And then 2 are going back to Wisconsin next month. Okay, so yeah, so it's a little crazy right now. And the puppies just they grow so fast. I'm sure since the last time, you videotaped them, they've really gotten a lot bigger. I got stuff all over the place here, kids. I was just thinking of something else too that I was wanting to tell you about, maybe trying on the edge of your pages. And now it's left me. Oh, let's see here. So it's 1 o'clock. I think that's pretty much all I had. I'm not thinking of anything else I wanted to tell you as far as the edges of a page. Anybody else have anything that they've tried or want me to try to see if you can do on the edge of your page of your journals? Oh, Pam's not keeping any. Your daughter and your adopted daughter are each keeping one. Okay. But it's me that ends up. Yeah, well, that was the problem when I was growing up. My dad didn't want a dog because he didn't want to take care of it. Oh, I was going to show you like a tab kind of a thing with just the fabric. I love doing this kind of an edge. So I'll just take a clip, you know, of fabric. I usually tear it. Most of the times I tear my fabric because that's a personal preference. And then I just, you know, attach it, whether I glue it, stitch it, or whatever. I do like using my cheesecloth, I gotta tell you, because it just creates, not only texture, but a little bit of depth and interest. And you can just put a little bit of that on. And then I get my little stapler. And then I usually, if I'm doing this in a book, I staple it backwards so the bumpy side is on top, because then I glue stuff on top of that. See, so then I would take a button in all likelihood and put some twine through that. And sometimes it's just easier to yeah, listen up, Pam. Us fibs will tell you. Yeah, I can't imagine train. It's hard to train one, and it's exhausting. Plus, let's not forget that Pam's husband is away. She's got what, four kids still at home. She's doing it all. Fixing cars, fixing microwaves, huh? How about it? Taking care of all those kids, sewing Pama rolls. And she's got 5 puppies. All right, so then I usually put some kind of, you know, thread through my buttons because I just like to have a little thread in there. I mean, on a rare occasion, I don't put thread. And so, see that just hangs out the edge of your page. See, that was quick, didn't take long. And then see, you get yourself one of your little bulb pins that you threw on your desk here that nobody can find. And you can attach a couple of beads or a charm. Thanks, Carol. I have a hard time opening some of these little. I have to get over not wanting to use some of my stuff. You know, like some of the fabric or whatever, lace, you name it. But I think having a bunch of different lace on, oh, that's gold in there. Let's get a gold one. Lace and things like that that hang off the edges of the page are just very attractive to me. My magnet's getting stuck to everything. I'm running out of pages here. See, just have another little dangly thing. It just hangs out. I'm trying to think if I have a book that I can show you that has a bunch of jazz hanging off the pages. I mean, I've got several finished journals over there, and then I was thinking the same thing with the, you know, when I talked about, and what did, I think it was Mitzi said, it's like a pleat, you know, you take some sari ribbon or some of the ribbon you might see at a thrift shop, you might think, oh no, I can't use that. But see, I never thought about taking a ribbon and doing this kind of pleaty thing. You know, this is not a good example. I'd have to iron this. But I think I would like that. Oh, there was only one male. Yeah, it is tiring because you got to keep after them to learn. I mean, it's tiring just having the one. So, unless you have any questions, maybe I'm not ready to do a total video on my walkthrough of my garden journal, but maybe I'll show you how far I've come with my garden journal. And I'm not sure about the concertina having things hang out the edge of a concertina type journal because of the way it has to fold. But let's just see. Let's just have a look. So this is my concertina garden journal, and this was inspired by Lisa Thill. And if you go back a few lives, you'll see where I start to build this. And then the second live, I worked some more on it. So I did my cover. Look, it's picking up everything. And then when I used this fabric that I had dyed and used paint and glazes on, I was complaining that I was losing a cute flower on the back side. Well, I was able to incorporate it because when I opened this up, I realized I would see the open board behind my page there. So I was able to, so I'm real pleased I was able to use that flower. And so I still want to add some ephemera type stuff. You'll see like this. See, I think I need some other stuff on here. But see, if I attach or staple anything onto of course I could glue. I could glue it. See, because it opens this way like an accordion. So I went ahead and filled in the flowers. I added this little guy. Got a little bunny behind my gate. And I put the word seek on there. And then as I was working through, I realized that I would see the back of my torn pages, which I wasn't crazy about. I think I got some hot glue on the tip of my one finger. And so then I painted it. And then when I looked at the back, it was just part of it was painted. I didn't like that either. I was telling Kathy. So I painted all of the back and then used a stencil and traced on those flowers and then did some other stenciling. So the back pages, look somewhat respectable. So I think I need a piece of fabric or something down here yet. And I was working on the back and I smashed this so hard I cracked my little charm that was on there. So I need to add a little charm. Oh, that's what I was going to tell you. What about little bitty scraps like this that we all have? They're little tiny pieces of fabric. What about just lining them up on the side of your page and stitching down through those? That might look cool, huh? I need something here. Kathy Calico Kate suggested a sun. I think I have a cool sun stamp I might put there. I'm not sure about here. I might do some Tim ephemera on that one. And there's my bugs, and I've got my little like monkey bar set back there for the bugs. And my little tag I made is a dingly dangly. I just popped a hole and then glued it onto the back. And then I wanted to do some kind of birds, but I just couldn't make up my mind. And then I happened to remember the swallows like Tamara Laporte does. And decided to do the swallows. Then I got my bees. I need something up here. Yeah, I've got fabric or glue or something stuck to that nail. Got my little beekeeper there. And then this is the last page. One thing that I didn't think about is that when I went to put my back cover on, it wasn't the right layout for the pages. So I had to chop off one so I could get it to work. And this, I think I'm going to do a belly band of some kind so I can just pop that in. So I still have a little bit more to do, but I've made good progress, I think. And then I have to decide how I'm going to tie that shut. So today what we did was we thought about and talked about creating different types of edges for our journal pages. And so we did some stitching just on the paper. And then Brenda suggested some fabric, and I used some cheesecloth and just did a quick little French knot on that one. And let's see if I can find anything else we did. Got everything buried here. I stitched, I don't know if that is the blanket. It's not the whip stitch, so I guess that's the blanket stitch or maybe the buttonhole stitch. I put that on the edge of the page and I used my little piercing tool. So my stitches are evened out very nicely. And then from there I crocheted on top of that and created a little bit of texture and just something different for the edge of a page. And then here we just did the fabric tab, glued on a button, added a couple other things, and then a little pin with some seed beads. Oh yeah, then we made our little slide. And this was very simple as well. And then just added a little lace to the back that could peek out on the front, but then when you glue it on and you turn the page in your journal, you've got something there that looks nice. It's not just a raw edge. And then we talked about, oh yeah, we did this one. And this is a whale's tail tab, but you could really, I was thinking at the time when we did this, and I forgot to mention it, if you have a an envelope maker. You kind of can cut out that tab shape if you put your paper in just right. Or you could just cut out a rectangle, fold it in half. You can get the same effect to use something like this to edge your page, right? And then you've got some fun stuff that can hang off of your page. And then oh yeah, I tried these little seed beads, attaching them onto the bottom of lace. So we did that. And then we added some buttons and mimicked the trim that I picked up at Hobby Lobby. I didn't get those offset very well, did I? Some of these probably could be a little shorter. But you just get yourself some crocheted or make some crocheted trim edging and add some buttons. That's also a fun thing. And let's see. Oh, and then we did some wooden buttons. Oh, I'm very messy today. Very messy today. You could attach these to ribbon, fabric, some lace, whatever you might have. Just make them all different lengths. You can stitch them on, glue them on. So we did that. And then we talked about the ribbon roses to add those on. And then the pleated aspect, either with strips of paper or strips of fabric, where you just gently fold up whatever you're going to use. And instead of making it a separate piece that you can glue on, you could stitch that right onto your paper. And then, of course, you could tie or stitch other things on as well. So there's some ideas for you for the edges of your pages. We also talked about maybe stamping a design on the edge of your page, and then taking some of your thread and doing some stitches, like some of your embroidery stitches. Oh, Mitzi said she dangled buttons on the edge of a trim a couple of weeks ago. She's not sure about it, but she used burlap. So see, once you get going and you get a couple of ideas, a lot of times things just keep going. I'm looking at this jar that I did a couple of weeks ago where I like the edging of a vintage or retro pillowcase. What if you have a piece of something like that in your stash? Wrap it around the edge of your journal page. Let it hang out. It can hang out the top too if it has a little stability, you know? And like Sherry mentioned, I think it was Sherry, oh, it might have been Shaz. If you mix Elmer's glue with some water, you can starch and stiffen up maybe a little piece. There was also a couple of weeks ago, I don't have any here, where I crocheted on a paper clip. You crochet yourself a little doily or a little flower or a little heart. If you crochet, it's a couple of stitches. You can find patterns online and watch a video. They're all just so cute to add to a cover or to add to the edge of your page. Just something different, maybe a little outside the box. And gosh, it just looks so darling, I would think, all together, in a journal once you get all your pages in, right? So that's it for me. It is Sunday, and I believe Tanya most likely will be on in about 45 minutes or so. PM Studios, I think they're already on. I noticed that Murray was on this morning early, but usually she does Sunday evening as well. So keep an eye out for that. I expect to be here again tomorrow evening about 5:30. And gosh, I think that's it for me. I appreciate you being here and spending some time with me. and chatting and watching me figure out some ideas. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope to see you all soon somewhere. Don't forget, take time to be creative and enjoy the journey. Bye-bye. Eastern